Welcome to Classic Reviews on Rauta channel. Today's a funny coincidence with this month's classic review, as it just happens to match the release date with Armagedda's first album, released in 2002 originally. Some say even 2001, but there's a little bit of contradiction with the information. So this one is from Sweden, and it's black metal, as you can probably guess from the name and the title here. Well, probably from the information box as well if you happen to read it. So let's just unbox this one quickly. And as you can see, this is not a positive album. Lead humanity to its own destruction. It's got the manifesto here. There's the track list, obviously, about 40 minutes in total, 8 tracks. Released by Nordvis Produktion. Here's the album once again, the final war approaching. And I have a little bit of a surprise for you after showing you the new album here. Here's the lineup information and then the lyrical side as well as the band picture. Now, this is Final War Approaching 2019. As it so happens, I actually found a copy of this in my shelf, which I think I got around when this album was released, 2002. I remember liking this album a lot, but I haven't been listening to it in many years, except for now it's time to just take a look at it. Now, there was one comment, I think, on the band's Facebook page that now is the version as it was supposed to look like. If you compare these two, it's clear that this new version is kind of a I don't know, better looking rather than this tiny picture here. Also, the other information is a little bit different if you compare these two. The old one also has a little different layout with different kind of band picture. But now is the real thing here. If this other one was saying like lead humanity to destruction, let me quote it here properly. Lead humanity during its own destruction. This old one is actually a little bit more grim and kind of a funny. By supporting Armagedda, you support the death of yourself, your family, and your friends. Armagedda wants you dead. Now, that's a really badass statement. But actually, I remember also that people were kind of like laughing at this kind of a cringy comment back in the days because, dudes, come on. You can have as many kind of a badass statements, but this is not so much about like being too dark or too grim or anything like that, but like nobody's gonna take it seriously. Well, and those who are, well, they are not just strong or suitable enough for black metal in the first place. But that's about the differences between these two prints. Now let's focus on the music here, what Armagedda is doing and why they actually deserve this fine reissue. Well, Armagedda is all about being grim black metal. Now you have to remember in 2002 there was not so much such a thing like a third wave black metal. All these more avant-garde black metal bands were kind of a new thing, or not even a thing back then, even though there might have been some individuals, and obviously were. And not to mention this more kind of a dissonant black metal, especially what Icelandic scene has done. It wasn't, there, not even near. But it was kind of a close of this kind of a generation torch to be given, forward. And as such, Armagedda kind of stood as one of the last guardians of this kind of a second wave. Now, you have to remember that 2002, the so-called second wave black metal, I mean, there's probably lots of different definitions when it actually started and so on, but we could just say it started like, early 90s, kind of when the decade changed from 80s to 90s, kind of a generation was born because the different kind of a Norwegian black metal wave started to come here, as well as Swedish, Finnish, lots of other bands. So Already more than 10 years had passed when Armagedda actually released their first album. Now you also have to remember that Armagedda didn't last for long. They existed only about 5 years. But during that time they released 3 albums and about half a dozen mini releases, including split demo and whatnot. Now Armagedda's torch was burning bright. They did these albums year after year after year, and then they kind of vanished. They ceased to exist, and to be honest, I don't know what happened. And to be honest, also, I really don't care that much. Well, I'm all about details and anecdotes, to be honest. I'm repeating myself here. But, you know, things just go how they go, and that's about it. But Armagedda did wonderful black metal already at the time, and this first album by them is a very good example of their not only creativity, but also how they tap into the vein that created so many good black metal albums. Now, coming from Sweden, it's not a big surprise that guys from Armagedda were into this real grim, kind of a raw black metal. You know, the sound on this album is actually way more raw than in so many albums after that one. It's not maybe Ilian or Swordwalk that are raw, but it's, you know, it's kind of a shredding, and it's kind of a thin, it's kind of a primitive, torn down, kind of a nude sound. Actually, the snare sound is a little bit weird, kind of a, I don't know, sort of a plastic, you know, bucket or something. But once you just kind of open the door to Armagedda's world, you're really quickly drawn into this kind of a darkness and grimness they are offering. So in my opinion, the sound being raw and primitive is not a problem here. By means, no, not at all, because it kind of fits their way of creating these really, really raw, dark, inhumane riffs. And while it's very Swedish, it's also very Norwegian. One could say it really didn't create anything new as such. It didn't bring any new ingredients to the table, but more like made them into their own. So it sounds very familiar at the same time as it also sounds very Armagedda-like. And in my opinion, this is kind of a great album. I mean, obviously there are room for some minor improvements. So maybe I wouldn't just outright give like 5 out of 5 stars, but it's damn close to it. Because to me, this album really challenges many of those classic albums from the 90s. It even beats some of them. Now, I'm not gonna start dropping names because it would just become a kind of a shouting contest. Like, no, you don't understand, this album is not better than that, and no, this album is better than that. That's beside the point. Nobody gives a damn how or which order these albums or bands should go. The point here is, Armagedda took their stuff and delivered wonderful, great album. And the final war approaching, if it's missing from your record collection, if it's missing from your pile of great black metal CDs or LPs, now it's time to get this piece. I don't know if you have missed it. Probably most of you will have missed it just because it's not a big name. It's not one of those household names, so to speak. But it's definitely something that should be in your collection, in my opinion, and at least you should give it a properly new chance. I liked it back in the days like 17 years ago, and I'm still liking it a lot. Listened to a few times prior to making this review, and I'm like, goddamn happy that these kind of albums actually got reissued. So, with this kind of a sales pitch, click it from your local distro or Nordvis Production and get your copy. I can pretty much guarantee it's worth your time and money. So, without more talk, go and enjoy Armagedda. It's one of the better albums coming this year, despite being a reissue. Thank you for your time, and as always, should you have any comments, opinions, whatever, put them on the comments box below and I'll get back to you. See ya and enjoy Armagedda.